Hello, everyone. I'm Kerry O'Shea Gorgone with Marketing Profs, and this interview has been like 7 years in the making. I'm so excited to talk with Johnny Earle, also known as Johnny Cupcakes, who makes some of my favorite ever t-shirts. Johnny, thanks so much for being here today.
Yeah, you got it.
Tell me about the selection, your t-shirt that you're wearing.
Oh, my t-shirt today. This is actually, you know what? We might have to start over. I just wanted to make sure this mic is picking up. Do you
Oh,
hear me
yeah.
tapping the mic?
No, not like I should.
Okay, one sec.
Yep.
This will make a world of difference.
Okay.
Du-du-du-du.
I like when people are audio snobs like I am.
Well, I figured if we're going to do it.
I mean, we're live, so we'll just wait.
How's that?
Valentina. Let's hear it again.
Check 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Okay, great.
Yep. Yeah, that's better. We'll hear in the comments if it's not better.
Oh, so this will be live.
Oh, it
Cool.
is now. Yeah.
Oh,
well,
it is. Oh,
not
hey.
for like the whole world, but
No,
for the Marketing
right,
Prof Pro
right.
group, we are live. But I figured, they wouldn't mind waiting.
Oh, cool. So I'll see live comments on the side.
Yes,
Oh,
you will.
my
I'll bring some
God.
of them up. I also wanted to show you this shirt. I should have gone to get it like while you were doing your thing, but I just didn't. So it's my very first one.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
That's the one that started my addiction.
That must have been 10, 11 years ago.
2007? 2006?
Yeah, sounds about right. Yeah.
Yes, I don't like to say how long it's been, but it's been a while, and I wear them.
Oh,
Some
that's
people,
fine.
okay, so you make designer t-shirts, and some people buy them to collect them, and they don't wear them. I'm not one of those people. I wear them until they are pretty done.
Yeah, you gotta.
An impressive array. But I want to kind of walk people back. So for those who aren't familiar with you, with your story, how did you go from working in Newbury Comics and being an entrepreneur who started like 16 different businesses by the time you were 16? How did you create the brand that we now know as Johnny Cupcakes? It's so addictive, people tattoo it onto their skin.
Yeah, I was working at a record shop called Newbury Comics. I was also in a hardcore metal band, so that record shop job was a dream for me. And I had a lot of goofy nicknames from my coworkers, from Johnny Appleseed to Johnny Come Lately. Johnny Cupcakes came out of nowhere, and it sounded like a goofy, cute mobster name. And while I was getting t-shirts silk screened for the hardcore metal band I was in, I thought it would be hilarious to make a shirt as a joke or a social experiment, to wear to work and to see what would happen. I always did want to make a clothing brand at some point in my life, but this was just a funny area for me, and I wore it to work, and all of these slightly miserable customers that never made eye contact with me started laughing and saying, "What is Johnny Cupcakes? Is that a bakery? Where can I get one of those shirts? My friend's name's Johnny. I love to bake. What's the deal with the crossbones?" So I started making more shirts, poking fun at pop culture. I'd replaced the skull and crossbones with a cupcake and crossbones, and it made people smile, it made people curious, and it tricked a lot of people. So the word of mouth spread, and before I knew it, I was selling these t-shirts out of my car, out of my suitcase when I went on tour with my band. And at some point, it got so busy that I had to make a big decision to leave the band and focus on Johnny Cupcakes. And that's what I did. And I opened up a few stores and over 1,000 pop-up shops around the world. And we set them all up to look and smell like actual bakeries, but with no food. We display culinary themed t-shirts inside of refrigerators. You buy a shirt, we package them in these pastry boxes, and everything's a complete experience. So whether they leave upset and hungry or delighted with the t-shirts, everybody leaves with a story to share. And yeah, it's my jam. It's what I've been doing for 20 years now.
True or false? People laughed at you when you said that you were going to start this business.
Oh, true. Definitely true.
So when you say you always wanted to have a clothing line, I'm like, really? Because if you had 16 businesses by the time you were 16 and you're a boy, Now, maybe this is stereotypical of me, but my brother didn't care at all about clothes. So
Yeah.
really a clothing line.
Yeah, I was what was I, maybe 12 years old. I went to my first concert. My mom brought my sister and I and a few friends to see TLC, Boyz II Men, and Montel Jordan. And there was a gentleman in front of me that had this tracksuit on, this windbreaker matching tracksuit. And I remember that was the day I decided that I was going to try to dress better. And of course, the next day I got in trouble because I wore my dad's Marlboro Miles like cigarette jumpsuit to school, and I had to get sent home. But yeah, I did want to start a clothing brand, but this Johnny Cupcakes brand was sort of a joke, sort of a social experiment, and a little bit of a clothing line. And as people took interest to it, I began making more t-shirts, and I fell in love with the process and the failures and the excitement and just learning this whole world of things that I really never knew about.
We're kind of chuckling about it, but some people do get really upset that you don't have cupcakes.
Oh
Or they've written
yeah.
reviews of your business that are
Yeah.
negative.
Yeah, we have terrible reviews on all those food websites from people that, they pay to park and they bring their family in and there's no cupcakes whatsoever. Um, I recently put one of those bad reviews on a t-shirt, and we made over $10,000 in just a few hours in the first day. So I try to tell people, that there's ways to turn negativity into motivation,
Into $10,000.
or into $10,000. Yep. Um, but yeah, we get upset people all the time. We did sell, if you look on my YouTube channel and search April Fool's Day Johnny Cupcakes, we did sell real cupcakes one year on April Fool's Day, and we hid all of our T-shirts. So we played a joke on our customers that drove from different states to go to my Newbury Street flagship shop. But yeah, I joke around. Sometimes I say I want to open a store across the street called Johnny's T-Shirts that only sells cupcakes.
That would be amazing, and I will show up for that. Every once in a
Thank you.
while, you do events, and you do have cupcakes, but it's like it's not a normal thing.
It's
Where do
not a
you get
normal.
them?
A lot of times my mom makes those cupcakes,
Your mom is on my
and
shirt
that's
today.
right.
She's the one
There's
I
my
ended up
mom.
wearing.
I
Which,
appreciate
well,
that, the
you bet.
support. Yeah, a lot of times it's my mom. Sometimes it's, people who are fans of the brand that have bakeries. And yeah, we mix it up, but it definitely confuses the upset people that cannot take a joke.
They're very upset.
They
So
are.
this is part of your brand is that joke. It's like everybody who wears the T-shirts, even knows that you have T-shirts, is definitely on the inside. So that sense of belonging is really core to the brand loyalty that you've built.
That's true. It's almost like a speakeasy. We don't sell these. I don't sell these shirts to any stores, any chain stores. It's all direct to customers. So anybody that has a Johnny Cupcakes T-shirt has some type of story to share. And by us not selling to other stores, we're able to curate a personal, a goofy, a memorable experience. You might buy a shirt on my website. You might get a New Kids on the Block trading card, a doll's head, a pack of batteries, a $20 bill, or a few free stickers with your T-shirt. But
Always stickers.
it's something that makes you look at that. I appreciate that.
Neither me
Yeah,
nor my children will ever need to purchase a laptop
a new
sticker.
laptop. Yeah,
No,
custom Johnny Cupcakes Apple
got it.
collaboration.
Got it. So we have some people joining us live because we're recording live, and one of them is Chris Brogan, who's a best-selling author and knows quite a lot about storytelling himself. He asks, "You went to Vegas for fashion shows. Was that magic? And what was that
Yeah.
like?"
Chris, nice to meet you. It was a trade show called the Pool Trade Show, which was owned by the Magic Trade Show at that time. It was at the Mandalay Bay Casino, which I still remember. It smells like cotton candy, chlorine, and regret. And I spent all the money I had and didn't have to get a little table to display my shirts on, and nobody was buying anything. But the last day of the conference, or the trade show rather, I got my T-shirts picked up and sold in stores in Italy, Japan, Australia, all over the US. It was going great until people stopped paying me on time at all. And this whole idea of chasing this process of selling to someone else who then sells your shirts, but you have no control over the customer service or when you're getting paid. It just didn't seem fun. And I decided to go straight to the consumer, straight to our customers, and focused more on the website, doing pop-up shops, eventually opening some of my own stores. But that was a blast.
You're raising a couple of interesting points. So when you start out with this idea, like you're very young, obviously, you have a really pretty popular brand all of a sudden. How do you protect yourself from the people who would take advantage of you, like offer to manufacture for you, make it so easy, but do a terrible job with fulfillment, or just blatantly rip you off? Like, how do you actually manage all of that?
Yeah, a lot of it's trial and error. I think making time to communicate with other brand owners and just take some notes on what to avoid and what not to avoid. But yeah, just learning, trial and error. We've had a great trademark attorney for over a decade now that helped us with a lot of our trademarks, as well as putting a trade dress on our store, which is trademarking the idea of the design of a store. So selling shirts out of refrigerators. And
Or
yeah, I
packaging
mean,
or how things look, like
yeah,
the whole
packaging.
brand kind of experience. But you've protected your intellectual property in a lot of pretty creative ways. Like sororities and fraternities are pretty well known for like
Oh,
ripping things off
yeah.
blatantly. And you did an event at a college where a sorority was
Mm.
making make cupcakes, not war shirts, and they were just ripping them off. So
Yeah,
you just
yeah.
went. You had a big event on campus. You just went
Yeah,
over there to talk to them about it.
I did. I got invited to speak to give a keynote talk at Syracuse University. I believe that was the school, and the sorority. Everyone was sending me photos, and they all had these different Johnny Cupcakes T-shirts on. And it wasn't even a parody. It was just our logo on a shirt with their name under it. And yeah, I went over and just wanted to figure out what was going on, and they apologized and they made me nachos, and I asked them if they could donate the rest of the shirts to a charity. But I've been on the flip side on it too. When I was younger and I didn't know much about the difference between copyright infringement and a parody. Parodies are legal and they're celebrated all over the place. So there's a very thin line, very gray area with that. And when I was younger, we definitely had a handful of mistakes, learning mistakes that we made along the way. But yeah, we do official licensing as well. We'll work with different companies. Right now, we're working with Sesame Street on a really fun project, and we can't wait to lay that out and introduce that to the world.
You've done that for a long time. So collaborations, I have some Hello Kitty shirts. I've got like a
Mm-hmm.
Hocus Pocus shirt. I've got a Ghostbusters shirt. And that's just me with my addiction. I have a Hermione Granger shirt. So when you do these partnerships, it can't be easy to get that right on the first crack either. Like when you first did one, was your first with The Simpsons, I want to say?
My first was with Looney Tunes, and we did a parody of the Joker because the Batman movie was coming out, and they thought it was a little too close. I didn't know you could copyright clowns, and it didn't say Joker on it. Maybe we could have fought it with our trademark attorney, but I called them up and I listened to them, and they said, "How many of these did you make, and where'd you sell them to?" And I said, "Well, I only made maybe 100 or two, and they're already sold out." And they kept asking questions, and why don't you sell to stores? And at the end of the conversation, they were laughing, and they learned about the brand, and they learned that we didn't sell real cupcakes, and they invited me to go to their headquarters, and they said, "If you ever want to work with any of our properties, we're going to give you a deal, and we'd love to work with you." So I went there, and we worked on a Looney Tunes collaboration, and they gave me original cartoon cells with letters of authenticity that we gave out to the first 20 customers that came to each of our locations. And so yeah, that was the first one, and it kind of was a happy accident that happened.
So what's the secret sauce to a good, successful partnership then? Because you want ideally to get past the audience you've built for Johnny Cupcakes and reach people who are fans of the brand you're partnering with, right? Like Sanrio, like Hello Kitty.
Yeah,
You don't
yeah,
partner with them just for the fans who love Hello Kitty, but thank you for that. How do
yeah.
what are some ways that you tweak the collaboration so that you're getting to their audience as well?
Yeah, so we try to make sure they're on the same page with the marketing efforts. So it's always a big plus if we could get the Hello Kitty herself to be at our store or our pop-up shop, or if we could get the Ninja Turtles to show up or the Power Rangers to be there in person, because that is going to act as a gateway drug for our brand for new people to learn about what we do. So when someone's walking down the street, they might not know or care about Johnny Cupcakes, but they see the Power Rangers themselves hanging outside with their spandex uniforms on, and they want to go get a photo. They wait in line. They might leave with a t-shirt, or they might tag the Johnny Cupcake shop on social media. So yeah, I think just being creative and open-minded with the marketing efforts definitely helps with some of those collaborations, and having a flexible licensing deal that allows you to sell a little bit longer than a shorter one.
You're an entrepreneur, and what I've noticed about entrepreneurs that have that kind of in their DNA is this creation mindset. Like you want to do new things all the time. You've been offered money for this brand just to take it lock, stock, and barrel, but you've never sold. Why?
It's just it was my it's just my passion. Yeah, I can't. I don't. Doesn't seem worth it. Maybe I'll change my mind at some point, but right now and for the past many years, I really want to keep it. I really want to keep it. We have customers that have over 2,000 customers have Johnny Cupcakes logos tattooed on themselves. I've seen face tattoos, neck tattoos, back tattoos, tattoos in places I wish I didn't see. And I feel like I'd let people down if I was selling it to the wrong person. But if I did meet someone that wanted to do a very personalized version of a franchise, maybe in Japan or a place that might be difficult for myself to go to, I might be open to that. But right now I'm just kind of keeping it smaller quantities at higher price points, released in more frequent, predictable ways. Instead of selling to stores or selling seasonally, we try to release new stuff every week.
The fans want to know, is On Broken Wings going to come back?
Um, on Broken Wings, that's a great question, Chris. I did do some tour with them a few years back, but they still play out, and they're still great. But um, I just need to pay attention to the brand and other things in life right now. So my music is taken somewhat of a backseat, but with some of the speaking engagements I do, I also offer to bring my vinyl records out and to spin records for the after party at a lot of events. And some of these events, we've rented machines that will make the room smell like frosting. I had animations made that look like they're dancing with whatever music I'm playing. So I'm figuring out ways to still involve music, but still involve that Johnny Cupcakes way of thinking by making people feel like a kid again through experience.
Boy, do I have questions about what makes it smell like frosting, but I'm going to put those on hold because
Yeah.
you're hitting on something I think is so important. How important is experience in making your brand so addictive, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's very important. I mean, listen, I make T-shirts. Anybody can go buy a T-shirt for a fraction of the price online or at a chain store or at the mall. Why is somebody going to buy a $36, $40 Johnny Cupcakes T-shirt? And why will they come back and buy it over and over and over? So I think there's a lot of things that are important. I think the designs, obviously, tapping into nostalgia, pop culture, the hidden surprises that you might get with your shirt, inside of your shirt, the stories that come attached with them, and just being transparent and not being this soulless, corporate logo, but letting people in on the ride, on the ups and downs of the journey. And I think when you do that, people understand a little bit more of what they're getting, and they feel a part of it, as they should, because I would not be here without these customers.
There's a whole series of inside jokes that is true. One of the first t-shirts I got my son was a Batman one, and it had in it a little message written underneath. I
Oh,
should have run it down.
yeah. Yep.
And you had to turn it upside down, like pull your shirt kind of up to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and lucky for me, my kids did that all the time.
Yep, we do some secret facts and shirts. There was a while where people started expecting surprises, so the surprises stopped becoming special. So we had to kind of remix the way we do things. So we're still working on some stuff right now. I think a big thing that I want to do is get into Johnny Cupcakes scratch tickets, lottery tickets, so you could win different prizes that the general public can't even buy. And right now I am working on writing a book, and I'm using vintage typewriters to write the whole book. And I'm going to start my own publishing company and publish my book. So I'm going to have these incentives for people that buy more than one book. And some of those are going to be this secret menu of products that, again, you can only get access to if you, go through the whole book support thing. So
That's an entrepreneur for you. You're like, I want to publish a book. I'm going to make a publishing company to publish.
Well, I've had offers from literary agents and publishers, but any way you do the math, it just seems like a very it reminds me of the music industry in ways, but for you to make even just 10% of what your book sells for is a good thing in the world of publishing. And for me, I'm like, man, we have hundreds of thousands of customers. Why don't I just try to sell to them at least first before I sell to a publisher? So I'd like to go that route. Unfortunately, with the way the world is right now, it looks like bookstores are closing left and right. And I just think it could be a good time to take on that endeavor and see what would happen.
You could fit a book in that package I see back there.
Yeah. I mean, I want to get
a book on the bottom, t-shirt on the top,
scratch and sniff sticker on the book.
All of it. Valentina is joining us live. She wants to know what your design process is like. How do you and your graphic designers pick or select designs?
Thank you, Valentina. When I first started the brand, I designed my first t-shirts on Microsoft Paint, MS Paint. And, I probably did the first dozen or so shirts there. And then I started to realize, I'm doing everything. I'm doing the customer service, the designing, the fulfillment, the whatever you'd call bookkeeping. It was not bookkeeping at all. And I got to a point where I needed to ask for help. And I wanted to focus on what I did best, and that was coming up with ideas and creating fun experiences for our customers, whether that be online or in person. So I began collaborating with different designers. I eventually hired my mom and my sister to help out with different aspects of the brand, and our longtime neighbor, and a few other people along the way. But
like your entourage,
my little entourage, but the design process can come from our customers. It can come from me. It could come from my team. It can come from the designers I'm working with. A lot of times we look at a calendar. We know we need to come out with shirts every single week. So we start with
Fridays, you guys.
Fridays at noon Eastern Standard Time. But sometimes we'll throw a curveball and release something in the middle of the week. And we know that we're going to do something around basketball, baseball, football, hockey. Okay, flip the calendar again. We know we're going to do our Halloween shirts, our Christmas shirts, our Valentine's Day, our St. Patrick's Day shirts. And one St. Patrick's Day, I even dressed up as a leprechaun and had a special shirt you couldn't buy. The only way to get the shirt is if you physically found me, and I gave them away for free. So we just keep going through, and then we come up with no ideas and we hit a wall. That's when we start to look at potential licensing deals, potential collaborations, or ways that we could remix a Johnny Cupcakes classic shirt with polka dot stripes, maps, and what have you, or scratch and sniff and or glow in the dark ink. And
don't put the scratch and sniffs in the dryer.
Yeah, I think you only have a limited amount of washes. Yeah, I think you have
a limited amount of sniffs.
Yes, that's right.
So this shirt that you've got on right now is your classic skull and or cupcake and crossbones, but it's also got a map on it. That's Boston, yes?
Yes. Yep. And we replaced some of the stations. So instead of Harvard Square, it says Hangry Square. Instead of downtown, it says Doughtown. So there's a lot of little, we like when there's an aha moment on a t-shirt that someone can find or within their package.
You're such an integral part of the brand, though. And I mean, you're Johnny Earle, but people call you Johnny Cupcakes. You talk on your Instagram channels about the brand, but you also talk about, the fact that you've just adopted a couple of little girls. Your mom was in a pretty serious accident outside the country not long ago. That's where this t-shirt comes from. So you're very much a part of the success of the brand. Is it hard to be so personally visible?
Sometimes it is. It's so tricky because for such a long time, the brand, I've just been transparent with everything going on. I've always used my social channels to almost talk about more personal things than professional things. And um, I don't know. That's just the way I am. I guess I'm kind of an open book. And if there's anything that I can learn through going through a difficult time, with a accident in my family, or going through, the adoption process with my wife, and if we could inspire anyone else, or if I'm, learning how to cook pizza on the grill in the backyard, and I could give someone a tip or two so they don't light their hand on fire, it just feels more fun and real than telling people to buy things every day. Even though that would probably benefit my company more, but I just, yeah, that's just the way that I am. So
Well, it's funny
yeah.
because you're actually in B2B now as well. And I don't think a lot of people would look at your brand and think that's a B2B brand, but you're doing custom printing, designs for businesses. Have you had to kind of toe the line, or do they come to you because they're the kind of B2B brand that's willing to let their hair down a little bit?
Yeah, so for a while, I've been doing speaking engagements, and I got into it because there were other speakers speaking about my brand as a case study, and there were people writing books and featuring my brand in these different marketing books, which I thought was great, and it was free publicity. And then as I got older, I was like, wait a minute, people should hear it from me. I should go out there and let people know these experiments that I'm doing, whether they fail or become huge successes. And with some of those speaking engagements, some companies or organizations will ask if we can make a special edition shirt for them. So that's one of the add-ons to my virtual speaking and my physical in-person speaking, is we will work with you to make a special edition design, and we'll surprise all of the attendees at the end. So it's kind of like a miniature, teeny tiny Oprah Winfrey moment where you get a t-shirt and you get a t-shirt and you get a t-shirt, and then we handle all the fulfillment, so everybody working from home during the pandemic gets a surprise sent to them in the mail. But it's branched off beyond that. There are some places that don't know about my speaking engagements or my brand, but they want to hire us, and we act as a mini design agency, a mini creative agency, and we handle the design, the production, and all that. And sometimes it'll be a bit bigger. So with Gillette, we worked with them on building some more loyal followers to sign up for their Shave Club program. And we brought back their mascot from the 1950s, Sharpie the Parrot. The only way you could get one of these shirts is if you signed up for the Gillette Shave Club program. We did this with House of Blues, and we also did a really big project with Mondelez for Nutter Butter for their big anniversary. We did special edition shirts, and we designed a few pop-up shops, and it was a blast. So for me, it was nice because my team and I got to use another person's brand as a playground. And in the grand scheme of things, it's probably a fraction of the price as hiring a traditional company to take care of it. But on the other hand, I have a brand too, so I'm obsessing over these little details that some of the people who hire other agencies obsess over. And we've had a few instances where we've been an agency's agency, which has been really interesting. So we'll collaborate with an agency for some of their clients to do something fun. So yeah, the B2B space is definitely a lot more hands-on and overwhelming in different aspects, but it's, I'll accept a handful of those each year. Some of them we are legally not allowed to talk about, some of them we can, but it's just a fun way to do things differently. And yeah.
Where can people find you? Are you doing some cool pop-ups? I mean, I know it's a little strange with the whole pandemic on, so like what are you doing to to still stay present and kind of engaged with people?
Yeah, so by the grace of the t-shirt gods, our online sales are up more than double than they were last April and May. And the first week the pandemic happened, I was really scared, and I don't really get scared, um, but I think a humorous t-shirt has become an escapism for a lot of people. And as you can see with our chat right now, the graphic t-shirt has become a universal uniform in regards to Zoom meetings and StreamYard meetings and Skype meetings. So I also started testing out some Instagram and Facebook marketing, which I've held off on traditional marketing for such a long time. And I still try to hold off on it because I think word of mouth is always better. But, before I go to sleep, I'll say, you know what, I'm going to advertise our Johnny Cupcakes playing cards to magicians. I'm going to advertise it to poker players, to designers, and just see what happens. And so I like doing those little experiments, but
Definitely part of my quarantine wardrobe. So
thank you. What was I'm losing it right now. What was the question again? We were talking about.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Okay. Anyhow,
there was like virtual pop-ups. I know you're doing
yes,
virtual pop-ups.
we've done some virtual pop-ups. We've done more custom merch for companies that want to keep their employees feeling thanked and engaged. So, $36 a t-shirt. We again handle all the design, production at a minimum of 75, 100 shirts, and we ship them out and surprise employees for them. And those have been helping out. And then we've been working on some like back burner items that have been on our endless to-do lists. So for years, I've been meaning to move our social media icons from the bottom of our website to the top, because that's where they should be. So we did that.
What did you do with the rest of the that was like 10 minutes.
Say that again.
I said, that's like 10 minutes. What you do with the rest
I know,
of them?
exactly. There are these little easy things that we could be doing, but
I don't even know what a trebuchet is, but Chris wants to know if you're planning to launch a t-shirt trebuchet. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what it is, but it looks like a German sausage, maybe, or a Danish.
That sounds good.
A Danish.
Johnny Danish.
Yeah.
So the last thing I wanted to ask you about was giving back. You do so much. Like you made a t-shirt and gave $20,000 of the proceeds to the Australian wildfires, which I think by now we've had so many crises. People are like, what even is that? They've forgotten about it. But things like that. I bought the t-shirt for nurses, to help support medical professionals that needed PPE. Mm-hmm. So how important is that? How many of those kinds of initiatives do you do?
Those are really important. The Australia one was a big one. We ended up raising over 100,000 Australian dollars in profits that we donated to 3 different charities, and we split up the donations. We had our customers from Australia vote on those. We've done stuff for the natural disasters in Texas. It's important. It makes you feel. It gives you a reason to live. Business is business, but it's not. It doesn't feel like you're doing much for the world if you're just like selling things. And I don't know. I think the way my mom raised me and just being involved in some different charities growing up has got us on that train. But yeah, we work with a lot of companies, a lot of organizations. We don't always advertise it, but it's just something we do, even if it's just donating a gift basket of shirts for a silent auction to raise money. But yeah, if anybody has an organization that they back, feel free to reach out, and we'd be happy to check it out and potentially get involved.
Great. Johnny, thank you so much for being here today. This has been really, really fun for me, and I hope for everyone else who joined us live. So
yes, and if I did not answer anything, feel free to shoot me a message on LinkedIn. My real last name is Earle, Earle, Johnny
How many
Earle.
times do you have to tell people that? Because they don't know.
Usually I don't want them to know, but today we'll throw it out there. And yeah, just at Johnny Cupcakes on social media. And I hope I can help some of you come up with some fun ideas.
Great. Well, thank you. And thanks to everyone who joined us live. This is incredibly fun. And I'll talk to you all again soon.
All right.